Welcome back, I'm JPhobes, and this is JPhobes Videos. For this video we're going to be doing a Raw review. And this Raw was surprisingly pretty good. It wasn't as good as last week's episode of Raw, and it definitely wasn't as good as WrestleMania. Surprisingly, we actually had a good pay-per-view and then a good Raw following the pay-per-view. Seeing Brock Lesnar come out and basically destroy anybody that was in his path after Seth Rollins wouldn't give him his rematch, it was great. It kind of brought back that older WWE feel, kind of back when they were with the Attitude Era and the Ruthless Aggression Era, just unpredictable. That entire episode of Monday Night Raw last week was very, very unpredictable. I really wasn't expecting a lot of things that were happening. It was just really great. We got to see all the heels actually getting to be heels. It was just a really, really good episode. And this week's episode, like I said, it was a good episode, but it definitely wasn't as good as last week's episode, which kind of sucks. And so, let's actually get into the review for last night's episode of Monday Night Raw. So, our first event of the night is Seth Rollins, Kane, Big Show, and J&J Security promo. Basically, it's just your average authority promo. They're out there to gloat about how Seth Rollins won the heavyweight championship, how also Big Show won the Andre the Giant Battle Royal match, and what was really interesting though about this promo is you can get a sense that the Authority is starting to split up. The Authority is starting to break down. You can definitely see maybe with the Big Show and J&J Security are definitely following Seth Rollins, but Kane, you can kind of start to see that he might not want to be a part of the Authority too much longer. And you definitely could tell backstage when Seth Rollins and Kane butted heads with each other, and Kane basically telling Seth Rollins that that Seth Rollins basically owes Kane for everything, because if it wasn't for Kane, Seth Rollins wouldn't have won the Money in the Bank championship and the Money in the Bank, and if Seth Rollins wouldn't have won the Money in the Bank, he wouldn't be the WWE heavyweight champion right now. So all of those are definitely facts. And so you could definitely see that the Authority is starting to split up, and really I'm looking forward to the day the Authority storyline is over with. It's been a fun little storyline, but I think they've played their cards with it, and they can maybe move on to a different storyline now with the Authority. I definitely want to see Seth Rollins stay as a heel even after the Authority splits up, because he's a fantastic heel. He's a great heel. He's definitely one of the best heels of this generation so far. It just depends on what type of heel he's going to be whenever the Authority splits up, and I'm hoping the Authority ends up splitting up. Hopefully, maybe either before SummerSlam or during SummerSlam. And honestly, WrestleMania I don't think was the last time we are going to see Sting in a match. I think we're going to see Triple H and Sting fight at WrestleMania. And I think we're going to see them fight for control over Raw, and that's going to be how the Authority storyline is finally finished. And to me, I think that would be a great way to end the storyline. And it would also give Sting some redemption for losing at WrestleMania, losing his first match in the WWE if he were to beat Triple H at SummerSlam, and then basically take control of Raw. But again, this is all speculation. We don't really know what's going to happen yet. I mean, we're still a long ways from SummerSlam or anything like that. I mean, our next pay-per-view is Extreme Rules. So, like I said, it was an average promo. Nothing really special happened in the promo that that really changed the show or anything. But like I said, I can definitely see the Authority splitting up soon. You can already tell with Kane and Seth Rollins butting heads with each other that they're eventually going to break up. So our first match of the night is Kane versus Randy Orton. And this was all because during the promo, Randy Orton ended up coming out and basically wanting to challenge Seth Rollins at Extreme Rules for the heavyweight championship. And because he definitely deserves a championship match. He did beat Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, and he still has not gotten his rematch from last year's WrestleMania when he lost to Daniel Bryan. So he definitely deserves a rematch. And basically, Kane made a match for tonight. It was the main event is a triple threat match: Roman Reigns versus Randy Orton versus Ryback, and whoever wins will face Seth Rollins at Extreme Rules. And he also put each one of them in a singles competition match. And of course, Randy Orton ends up fighting Kane. This match definitely could have been a lot better. I definitely expected a lot more from Kane and especially Randy Orton. But the way the match ended, you kind of got the feeling that the creative team really didn't know what to do with this match. The fact that it basically Randy Orton ends up winning by DQ because Kane uses a steel chair against Randy Orton. And this match was just really boring and not a great way to start off Monday Night Raw with your first match. And it's kind of like it's in a step backwards because last week they had a fantastic first match. It was Daniel Bryan versus Dolph Ziggler for the Intercontinental Championship. It was a great match. It was fantastic. It was suspenseful. There was a lot of unpredictability with it. Just a lot of great technical wrestling going in with the match. They were both selling their moves perfectly. And I mean, it's Daniel Bryan and Dolph Ziggler. Anytime those two are in a match together, it's going to be a great match. So to see something like that, and then this week we have Kane versus Orton. Yeah, not a great way to start out Raw with your first match. And honestly, I think it's about time for Kane to retire from in-ring wrestling. I know he's not. I know he's not that old. I think he's. Actually, I'm not too sure how old he is. I think he's a little bit younger than The Undertaker. I'm not too sure, but honestly, I think it's time for him to retire from in-ring wrestling because he just, I don't know. There's just something about his wrestling style now that's just not that fun to watch anymore. He doesn't have that same powerful movesets that he used to have. He's just, his choke slam just looks really weak now. When he does a clothesline, it just looks just almost pathetic anymore. He's just a really boring wrestler now that just needs to possibly think about retiring from in-ring competition and just staying maybe behind the scenes, or maybe ever becoming a GM of Raw or SmackDown, whatever. Yeah, Kane, it's time for you to retire, buddy. I'm sorry, it's time. Alright, so after that match, we have Seth Rollins versus Neville. And Neville made his Raw debut last week. He fought Curtis Axel, and he won his first match. I mean, it was also against Curtis Axel, so it was almost guaranteed for him to win against Curtis Axel. And of course, he's still doing now it's I forget how he said it. It's Axel Extreme. I don't know how he did it. Instead of Axelmania, now he replaced it with Extreme Rules. I forget exactly how he said it. It's not as catchy. Yeah, Neville is one of the NXT wrestlers that I have really been looking forward to. I have absolutely loved Neville when I've watched him in NXT. He's just a great high fly risk taker type wrestler they're just fun to watch. And when you're watching Neville, it's like, holy crap, how is he doing a lot of this? And yeah, I've definitely been looking forward to Neville, and this was Seth Rollins versus Neville. It was almost a classic match. It really was. They were both selling each other's moves. It was just a really, again, high-flying match. At first it looked like Seth Rollins was going to beat Neville pretty easily, but eventually Neville was able to counter a lot of Seth Rollins' moves, and eventually he started gaining some momentum that was able to turn around the match into his corner. Yeah, there's a lot of NXT wrestlers that I'm really looking forward to coming into the WWE. One of the wrestlers I'm really looking forward to is Kevin Owens. He's a wrestler that I think is going to have a bright future in the WWE, and really all of the wrestlers in NXT at this moment. They definitely all have a bright future. It just depends on how the WWE books these wrestlers. That's what makes me nervous, because almost every wrestler in the NXT roster has talent, and they can definitely have a career. It just depends on how the WWE books them and what type of characters they give them. And sadly, already 2 NXT wrestlers have been ruined by WWE's booking, characters, whatever, and that is the Ascension. The Ascension in NXT was a great tag team, and now that they're in the WWE, for some reason they just don't have that same energy, and I think it's because of the way the WWE is booking them. I think that they need to kind of go back to how they were at NXT, or maybe they're just not ready for the main roster. Maybe they need to go back to NXT, work at NXT some more. Maybe that's it. Kind of sucks, because I really did think that they could make it on the roster. So back to the Seth Rollins and Neville match. What made this match really great was again the fact that they were both selling each other's moves perfectly. Even though Seth Rollins has more experience than Neville at this moment, you didn't really see Seth Rollins carrying Neville, and you also didn't see Neville carrying Seth Rollins either. They were both working together perfectly, and when 2 wrestlers work perfectly together in the WWE, the match feels a lot more real. The match, it feels like a real fight, and that's what this felt like. It did feel like a real fight. It was just a very exciting match. You didn't know who would win the match. Sadly, it wasn't until J&J Security started to interfere. That is when Seth Rollins was able to really gain an advantage. Eventually, he was able to do that one power bomb type thing where he picks him up and then slams him against the opposite turnbuckle. He was able to do that, and then he was able to get a curve stomp on Neville, and that's actually how Seth Rollins was able to win against Neville. That's one of the things I'm getting kind of annoyed with. I mean, I get that Seth Rollins is supposed to be a heel. He's meant to cheat. He's a bad guy. He's supposed to do stuff like that. I just wish he would find other ways to cheat. I'm getting tired of J&J Security interfering and then basically ruining matches that are basically can be classics almost. There's been so many matches where, where Seth Rollins and their opponent have basically just fought in a fantastic match, and then because it looks like Seth Rollins might lose, J&J Security then interferes. That is getting annoying, and hopefully once the Authority splits up, J&J Security don't go no longer associate with Seth Rollins, so then Seth Rollins will have to figure out other ways to be a cheating heel. Maybe he'll start, when the ref isn't looking, maybe he'll pull up brass knuckles or something and hit the opponent with them. Little things like that will make him a more interesting heel, where he's not just having his 2 little henchmen interfere. So besides J&J Security interfering with the match, it was a great match and definitely the best match of the night. I wish all the other matches could have been like this, but yeah, it's the WWE. It's like they can only have one good match a night anymore. So after that, we have John Cena versus Stardust for the United States Championship. Why? Why does John Cena have to have the United States Championship? I guess you can kind of look at it a good way that he's not in the main title hunt anymore. But the fact that he was able to beat that the WWE allowed him to beat Rusev at WrestleMania is ridiculous. Rusev is a much much better wrestler than John Cena. And again, one of the things that has really got me annoyed when before the match actually started, John Cena went on and on about how he is the man, he's the name that runs the place. You know, he's doing that again. He's basically trying to say that any young wrestler that wants to get into the industry has to go through him, which is completely ridiculous because there are so many wrestlers that are better than John Cena. If anybody should be going, if any of the younger wrestlers should have to go through somebody, it should be like Seth Rollins or Daniel Bryan, Dolph Ziggler, all of those wrestlers who are much, much better than John Cena. And it's just annoying the way John Cena acts. He's an arrogant wrestler who isn't a heel. He's an arrogant face wrestler who thinks that he's some special wrestler who can actually go out and say, "Oh, I am the one who runs the building," and however he says it. I don't know exactly how he says it, but it's just annoying because he's not that talented of a wrestler. He really isn't. So he went from the 5 moves of doom to now 6 moves of doom with that little off the rope stunner thing that he does now, which I will admit is actually pretty cool. The first time you saw that. The second time it's just like, yeah, don't do that again. it's not that cool looking the second time. The first time when he did it at WrestleMania, it was like, wow, that was actually pretty cool. Second time it's just like, no, it kind of looks a little bit awkward. Because the first time it happened, it was very fast. This time when he did it was almost like, why'd you do that? And what really sucks though is the fact that he beat Stardust. And I'm not trying to say that Stardust is a great wrestler or anything. I mean, he's a good wrestler. But I think that Stardust deserves to have a title more than John Cena does. He really does. Stardust has definitely proven to be a good singles competitor. I think he deserved to have a championship before John Cena got another championship. So, just really ridiculous. What I'm thinking about doing very shortly is a John Cena video on why he should turn heel. Because I understand that pretty much every video I go into a John Cena rant about why he needs to turn heel, why he needs to change his character, and because of the fact that I have other things to talk about, other events that have happened, I can't really go into too much details to back up a lot of the reasons why I feel that John Cena needs to turn heel. So what I'm thinking about doing, I might actually do it sometime this week. I might do a special wrestling video on explaining why I feel that John Cena needs to turn heel. Why it would be the best entertainment and also business decision for the WWE with John Cena at his current state. Because let's face it, John Cena hasn't had a heel turn since about, I think, 2006. He has been a face wrestler for about 10, 11 years, something like that. And it's about time for him to change. His character is boring, he's stale, he's not interesting anymore. When he he used to be fantastic on the mic. Now when he comes out and speaks, he's just incredibly boring. He really is. 90% of the time he ends up putting me to sleep because he says the same boring shit over and over and over again. He doesn't say anything new. It's the same speech, and it's annoying. So what I'm thinking about doing sometime this week, I'm not too sure when it'll actually come out. It might not come out till the end of the week. It just depends on what else I'm doing, because as of right now, I am actually about 90% of the way through Bloodborne, the latest PlayStation 4 exclusive game. So I want to get that beat. Hopefully I'll have it beat by Tuesday afternoon. So I want to start working on a review for that. So that'll probably be my next video, is a raw, not a raw review, but review of Bloodborne. And so if I don't get the John Cena heel video out by the end of the week, it'll definitely be out sometime next week. Probably maybe by the weekend. And yes, there are Far Cry 4 walk videos coming out. I'm just, like I said, I've been playing Bloodborne. I've been really wanting to beat this game. Been having a fun time with it. I just wanted to. It just kind of distracted me from the Far Cry video. So yeah, John Cena heel video most likely out by the end of the week, if not that, next week. So that's all I have to say about that match. Stardust should have won. John Cena shouldn't be United States Champion. He shouldn't even have won at WrestleMania. So that's it for that. Luke Harper versus Ryback. So this was another match that I felt that could have been a lot better. And especially since Luke Harper is a fantastic wrestler. And again, I've said this before and I'll say it again. Even though he's a pretty big guy, he still has a lot of athleticism that makes him great. He can still go through the ropes. He's just a great wrestler, and that really showed when he was competing in the Money in the Bank, not the Money in the Bank, but the ladder match for the Intercontinental title. There was just so many things. I'm like, wow, I cannot believe he's able to pull that off. And I'm not that big of a fan of Ryback. I'm really not that big of a fan of Ryback. I think I don't know. I think it's more because, I don't know, there's just something about him I don't like. He's a fun wrestler to watch, but there's just something about, I think I just don't like his character. They kind of make him seem a little dumb at times. I think that's one of the reasons why I don't really like his character too much. There's just something about his character that just feels really boring and kind of like they've done this character before. I just can't put my finger on what character he's trying to mimic almost. He's definitely not an original character. I've definitely seen this type of character before, and really, I mean, he's just the big guy who dominates, but most of the time doesn't actually win. Really, I can't remember the actual. Well, except for tonight, yeah, he did actually manage to beat Luke Harper, but most of the time he really doesn't win his matches, even if it's against somebody that he could easily beat. I just don't think he's a fun wrestler. I don't think he can sell his moves as well as some of the other wrestlers. But he definitely has some talent, and I think he just needs to find a good character to work with. So that's about all I really can say about that match. So next, we have a tag team match, the Lucha Dragons versus New Day. This was a really fun match to watch. The Lucha Dragons are another NXT tag team that has been just so fun to watch. One of the wrestlers in the team is Sin Cara, and when Sin Cara debuted in the WWE, he was a single competitor, and he just didn't have that same high flying. I mean, he definitely had the high flying moves of like Rey Mysterio, but he just didn't have that same almost in-ring charisma that most luchador wrestlers have. And for a while, a lot of fans were noticing it, and a lot of fans really weren't following him. So he went to NXT, and he found a tag team partner. I can't remember his tag team partner in the Lucha Dragons, but getting a part of this tag team has definitely been the best thing for Sin Cara. It's really helped him get ahead in his career. It's really helped him get that in-ring charisma that he needed, and the Lucha Dragons are definitely one of the best tag teams the WWE has right now. And I am glad that the WWE is finally starting to take the tag team division seriously again. Because the WWE used to have great tag team matches. I mean, you had tag team matches like the Dudleys versus Edge and Christian versus the Harley Boys, and TLC matches, table matches, ladder matches, whatever. They had some of the best matches with those tag teams. I mean, and not just those guys, but those are the ones that I remember the most watching. But there were so many other tag teams. You had Rated RKO, Edge and Randy Orton. You had also Legacy when you had Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, and then Ted DiBiase. Of course, Evolution, DX. There was just so many great tag teams, and the fact that the tag team division lately has been starting to die off was starting to be really disappointing, because a tag team match can be fantastic. It really can. So it's been really nice starting to see NXT bringing back the tag team division, and then when these wrestlers get good enough and then come to the main roster starts to get more talented tag teams. We definitely need more tag teams. Right now, like I said, the Lucha Dragons are definitely one of the best. After that, I would have to say Cesaro and Tyson Kidd. Those are probably the two best teams right now. And this was just a great match. I mean, just so many high-flying moves, so many things that, you know, you're just like, wow, how are they able to do this? It's just so, they were just so fun to watch. And New Day. New Day. Why are you guys a tag team? I mean, I know I was just saying the WWE needs to bring, you know, strengthen their tag teams and stuff like that, but New Day, they don't work. They're not fun to watch at all. I mean, with Big E, I don't know. I mean, their backstage promo was just so awkward. It was just so. There's just not. I can't even really describe how bad the New Day is. There's really no words to describe how bad they are. They're just not fun to watch. I mean, you can definitely see the crowd when, like, Kofi Kingston or whoever's outside the ring is, like, clapping on the ring post, and I forget how the clap goes, and then, like, the crowd's just like, New Day sucks. It's just so fun to watch, and you can definitely see Big E, Kofi Kingston, I mean, all, like, the entire team on New Day is just like, why are they saying we suck? Well, it's because you suck. I mean, they just don't understand that they're not a good tag team. And which is weird because all three of them are actually great single competitors. They really are. All three of them great single competitors. I mean, especially Kofi Kingston. But this tag team just does not work. Again, it could be because of the characters, or it just could be because these three guys just don't have any chemistry together. I don't know. Whatever it is, the WWE needs to find out a way to make these guys interesting, or New Day sucks. Chance will continue, and they will continue until either until the New Day is gone, or until they actually find a way to get better. Whichever one comes first. I'm guessing NXT leave. I mean, not NXT, but New Day leaving, breaking up or something, or a change of character. It definitely looked like during this match that they might become a heel tag team eventually. That would actually be pretty interesting. I definitely would like to see that. So that does happen. I think that might maybe make their characters a little bit more interesting, but as of right now, they suck. They really do. AJ lining it up. So after that, we have the 30th installment of Big Show versus Roman Reigns. Yep, the WWE hasn't done this match in a couple of weeks, so we just had to have Big Show versus Roman Reigns fight each other again for the 20th time. Could be more than that. I'm not actually sure how many times they fought, but yeah, Roman Reigns versus the Big Show once again. Has the WWE realized that these two cannot wrestle against each other? They are not fun to watch. They're both. And you're taking two guys who have almost zero talent. I mean, the Big Show did have talent at one point, but again, he's almost like Kane. He needs to retire. He really does. Between his constant heel turns, and just the fact that he's not fun to watch anymore. He really isn't. So, and then you're putting him against Roman Reigns, who still is trying to develop his talent, who needs to work on his moveset. You're just not going to have a fun match. You really aren't. And this match clearly showed. It was slow paced. There wasn't any excitement. I mean, the crowd 90% of the time, except for, when there was the occasional Roman Reigns fans starting to cheer for Roman Reigns, the crowd was almost dead the entire time. Yeah, when your crowd is not cheering in a match, that means something's wrong with that match. And I can tell you what's wrong. It's Roman Reigns and Big Show fighting against each other. They just please stop with Roman Reigns and Big Show. Don't even put them in the same match anymore. It doesn't matter if it's a tag team match, whatever, triple threat, fatal four-way. These two should not be in the same ring fighting each other. But it kind of has to happen because Roman Reigns is a face and Big Show's a heel with the authority, so it's going to happen 90% of the time.
AJ Lee,
an emotional victory here tonight.
Man, oh man, what a battle!
Roman Reigns is another wrestler that I think might be having a heel turn sooner or later. And really, I think a heel turn might actually help his character. I really do. Because if you look at it, Roman Reigns, you can kind of get the sense that he doesn't really like the fans too much. Even the ones who cheer for him. So I think by turning him a heel, it really might help his character. He might actually get better on the mic. And he might even get better in the ring as well. He might start showing more of aggressive fight style. So I think turning him heel is probably the best option for the WWE at this point. I really do. I think it would be the best thing because it definitely looks like whenever Brock Lesnar returns, he possibly might be coming back as a face. So you're going to have to kind of even the face and heel ratio. So yeah, Roman Reigns definitely needs to come back. Definitely needs to turn heel sometime soon. So our next match is Sheamus versus Mark Henry. And Sheamus actually made his return last week on Raw, and he came back looking really different. He has a mohawk and some type of little beads on his beard, like a beard type thing. I don't know what it is, and he is also a heel. This is something that I've been looking forward to a long time. Heel Sheamus is the best Sheamus, in my opinion. He's just a lot more aggressive. He's a lot more fun to watch on the mic. He's just an awesome heel. I mean, when he came into WWE, when NXT was still around, that's where he debuted. It was at ECW. When ECW was part of the WWE and it was a weekly program, Sheamus debuted and then eventually won the ECW championship. And he was a great heel wrestler. He was fantastic. He was an arrogant, Celtic warrior type wrestler, and to see him come back as a heel, it's great. But again, though, it kind of looks like they're booking him as the cowardly heel, even though we've already had too many cowardly heels. That kind of makes it look like what they're trying to turn him into. The way when Mark Henry came out, Sheamus was trying to back away from Mark Henry and stuff like that. Even though Sheamus has beat Mark Henry plenty of times. So I don't know what's up with that. Just like Big Show and Roman Reigns' match, it was just very slow paced. Again, not that exciting. It's not something you would expect from Sheamus. Normally when Sheamus is in a match, it's very fast, it's fast paced. I mean, it's not as fast paced as like when you have two high flyers in the ring, or when you have one high flyer in the ring. But he normally does have pretty good fast-paced matches, but this one, it just wasn't that fun to watch. And I know I've been saying this about like almost every match, but it's just how it was tonight. There were just so many matches that really weren't that interesting. It definitely could have been more interesting. So actually that's it for that. That's all I really want to talk about. Next, Miz Dow versus The Miz. Yes, I have been looking forward to this match for a long time. I have been waiting for these two to fight each other for a while, and it did not disappoint. And even though The Miz won the match, I don't think The Miz should have won. I think Miz Dow should have won. I don't think this is the end of their storyline. I think they're going to have a nice rivalry. Hopefully it lasts past Extreme Rules. I can definitely see them maybe having Falls Count Anywhere, maybe an I Quit match at Extreme Rules. It's definitely going to be fun. It's definitely nice to see Damien Sandow back into single competition where he doesn't have to be The Miz's stunt double, even though it was entertaining. The stunt double stuff was very entertaining. but it's nice to see him actually back in single competition, actually fighting again. Actually fighting, not just mimicking whatever The Miz was doing. So it's definitely fun to see him doing that. I just wish he would go back to how when he was actually Damien Sandow, not still under the Miz Dow thing, and basically still being almost under the Miz's shadow. So I'm hoping eventually he starts using his own move sets again, because Damien Mizdow, great wrestler, really is great wrestler. The WWE almost ruined him. If it wasn't for the stunt double stuff, Damien Sandow probably wouldn't be in the WWE anymore right now. He would be almost like Curtis Axel. He would be a jobber. If it wasn't for the stunt double stuff, because that's really what got the crowd behind him. Because they realized, okay, this guy is still entertaining. He's still fun to watch. So, and also I think it was a lot of the times they just wanted to piss off The Miz. That's probably what it was as well.
And he might have to do this by himself.
Oh, sorry
His
about
partner
that.
doesn't have much left.
Yeah, so I'm hoping they have good rivalry. It's definitely going to be fun to watch. So after that we have Orton versus Reigns versus Ryback. Not much to really say about this match. It's kind of almost what I expected. It just, I don't know. There's just not really much to say about this episode of Raw tonight. I mean, just not much happened. It just wasn't as exciting as last week's episode of Raw, when you basically had Brock Lesnar unleashing hell on everybody. A lot of the matches were predictable. I mean, as soon as Stardust came out to fight John Cena, I knew who was going to win. I knew John Cena was going to end up being Stardust. Hopefully John Cena does actually drop the United States Championship sometime soon, because, like I said before, he doesn't even deserve to have it. The only thing I can really talk about is how the match ended. So what ends up happening is the Authority comes out, and they stand at the top watching the match for a while. And I believe what happens is Roman Reigns ends up spearing crap. I think he ended up spearing Ryback. And then I think, yeah, I can't remember what happened. But eventually what happened was, oh, this is what happened. Yeah, I believe it was Ryback kind of like fell outside the ring, and the Authority started walking towards Ryback, and they were kind of like standing over him. And next thing you know, Roman Reigns comes flying over the ropes, and basically taking out the entire Authority. But then Roman Reigns gets his hands on Seth Rollins. But then, boom, knockout punch from Big Show to Roman Reigns, and then he delivers a second one to Roman Reigns. So 2 massive knockout punches from the Big Show to Roman Reigns. So then Seth Rollins is near the ring, and then Randy Orton ends up grabbing Seth Rollins and bringing him into the ring. Again, this is a no disqualification match. All triple threat matches are no DQ, so all of this is completely legal. And it looks like Randy Orton's about to RKO Seth Rollins, but then J&J Security end up interfering, and Ryback basically starts beating up J&J Security. Eventually, what ends up happening, I think Roman Reigns gets back into the ring, spears Ryback, and then Randy Orton is able to RKO Roman Reigns, and then he ends up picking up the victory. But before he can even celebrate, though, Seth Rollins does a curb stomp to Randy Orton. So, yeah, the ending was probably the best thing about the entire match. It was probably the most exciting thing about that match, which is weird because triple threat matches are normally very fun to watch. But again, it's a main event Raw triple threat match, so normally main events now on Raw aren't that interesting anymore, because they just don't give the main event enough time anymore. Sometimes, you know, a main event will start at 10:40, sometimes even 10:50. I think a main event, the actual bell should ring at about 10:30. That's when the main event should start for Monday Night Raw. And really, I think Raw needs to cut down the time limit to about 2 hours, because really 90% of the stuff in the 3-hour runtime is all filler. It's promos, or they're doing recaps of stuff that happened during SmackDown or the previous pay-per-view, and then also you got commercials. So normally if you actually cut down the commercials, it's not even 3 hours. It's probably about 2 hours and 30 minutes, maybe something like that. Not too sure. But yeah, I think they really do need to cut it back down to 2 hours. I think 2 hours was the best time slot for them, and I would definitely like to see NXT go up to 2 hours, because right now NXT is only on an hour, and I would like to see more of NXT. I really would. So I think Randy Orton and Seth Rollins are going to be fighting each other at Extreme Rules. Now it's going to be interesting what type of match is it going to be. It's Extreme Rules, so it's going to be some type of no DQ match. So I'm wondering what type of match they're going to have. I think it's going to be a steel cage match. That is my guess. I think it's going to be a steel cage match, just so Randy Orton doesn't have to worry about J&J Security interfering or anybody else from the Authority interfering. So I think that's going to be, or a Hell in a Cell match. I think it's going to be one of the two. I think it's going to be a steel cage or a Hell in a Cell match. It's going to be one of the two. If not that, probably a no holds barred, something similar to that. So yeah, it is interesting that they haven't even added a there wasn't some type of stipulation to the match already. But I mean, we still got, I think, 2 more weeks until Extreme Rules, so we got plenty of time to start adding a stipulation to the match. I think Seth Rollins and Randy Orton are going to have a great rivalry. I mean, they already have a fun rivalry, and what's great is this rivalry has slowly built up. It hasn't felt rushed. I mean, this rivalry has basically been building up since, I think, November. I think it was before Survivor Series is when Randy Orton was put out by Seth Rollins and the Authority. So I think, yeah, that's about November is when, you know, this rivalry started. So this rivalry definitely hasn't felt rushed, and that's kind of what the WWE needs to start doing, is slowly building up their storylines so that they're fun to watch. That's what they need to start doing. And so that's really about it for this video. That's really all I have to say. Again, could have been a lot better. Like I said, last week's episode of Raw was a lot more fun to watch. It's a lot more unpredictable, a lot more excitement. But hey, not every episode is going to be fun. Not every episode is going to be exciting. Even when it was in the Attitude Era and the Ruthless Aggression Era, they still had some slower type episodes. But sadly, today it's almost every Monday is slower type episodes. One thing I will talk about real quick is how awesome was it not to have Michael Cole. That was so great not to have Michael Cole on commentary. Sadly, we still had to have JBL and Booker T on commentary, but hey, at least we got Michael Cole out of there. Yeah, last week when the commentary team was completely taken out by Brock Lesnar, it was like, oh yes, we wouldn't have to put up with these 3 morons in commentary anymore, and that was awesome. That was really fun to watch. And then the one commentator, I can't remember his name. He's from NXT. He took over from Michael Cole. Sadly, even on NXT, he's actually a much better commentator. The NXT commentary team actually knows that, hey, commentary is supposed to be about calling the matches, and sadly, when you're working with JBL and Booker T, they don't realize that. They think it's about arguing back and forth between each other, or just talking about complete, total nonsense. So that's all I have for this video. If I had to give Raw a rating for tonight, it would probably be a 5 out of 10. Yeah, 5 out of 10. They only had one exciting, well, actually two exciting matches. Neville versus Seth Rollins, and then also Lucha Dragons versus New Day. So yeah, fun match. But yeah, it was an average episode of Raw. So I'll just let the rest of this video play. So I'm just gonna sign out now. So if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. This is JPhobes signing out.
CM Punk gathering attention in a hurry. Look at CM Punk here. What a shot! Oh! And he gets escorted back through the ropes. And we're going back between the ropes. And what a reversal from CM Punk. Incoming! Moving on pure instinct now. Oh, back to the head. Back to the temple. Lesnar. Brock Lesnar. What a crafty maneuver. Trying to put him away. That's it. He's done. And will this be it? 2. And there's the... He could pin his opponent right here. And there's the reversal. Uh-oh. What is CM Punk going to do here? He seems dazed. He's confused. He didn't need a GPS to find the mark. He's got him. Reversal. The offense of Brock Lesnar is working well right now. Oh, reversal. Uh-oh. Big move coming. Whoa. He's measuring. Oh, man. That'll take the wind out of your sails. This could do it. Oh! Oh, no. Brock Lesnar with the opportunity. Great reversal. That should do it right there. Nice move. Punk got tattooed. Can he score the pin? 2. Oh, Cole, look at that. Now that's how you hurt an opponent. Brock Lesnar's taking a lot of damage. I'm not sure how much is left in his tank. Hey, he's going for it again. Boy, he is really tired now. That tank of his has to be reading empty. It has to be, King. But I still don't see him giving up. Stay down! Stay down! Wait a minute! Lesnar setting it up again. F5, Lesnar clamps it again. There's the cover. Can he do it? 3. Brock Lesnar gets the win in an impressive fashion. We got a couple of highlights here. Let's check them out. And here's some highlights from the matchup. Here are some highlights from. We may be looking at the match of the year.
Here is your winner, and still WWE World Heavyweight Champion, Brock Lesnar.
There should be no doubt in anyone's mind that he is the true and deserving champion. Absolutely. What an incredible match.